Hi, I'm Al Sullivan, founder and CEO of Inspires Consulting. I'm here with my colleague Ross Grubel, and we're continuing our series on leaders who, instead of being stuck in resistance type organizations or a bunch of friction around change, we're helping leaders to really dive into being change leaders who can build resilient organizations, in a world of uncertainty. Um, Now, at this point in our series, I want to ask some reflection questions.
Yeah, and Al, maybe before we get into those reflection questions, a while recently you shared with me a quote that has stuck with me. It's a bit impactful, I find. You had told me that building change resilience isn't about managing the next crisis, but instead it's about creating an organization that thrives on continuous evolution. Can you talk a little bit more about what you meant with that?
Yeah. Thanks, Ross. That's a good point. Yeah, this evolutionary notion to change really starts with what we call an organizational assessment, and I don't think that's lost on anyone, right? Because if you're trying to get to the root cause of what's working and what's not working, or how to change it, I think most leaders would say, well, let's start with an assessment. But you can't stop there. In our world of organization development, working with applied behavioral sciences, there's a strong body of work we call levels of system, where you got to ask yourself, well, where might the issue reside and where might the appropriate solutions reside? So when you're looking at, there's four levels of system. The first level is intrapersonal, what's going on inside of people, right? Might there need to be coaching for leaders or dealing with self-awareness for employees, so on and so forth. The second level of system is the intrapersonal level of system, where the work is happening across groups, across teams, across departments, right? Might we need to deal with feedback and conflict or team dynamics, right? The third level of system is the organizational level of system, where we're looking across the entire organization at our ways of working, at our systems, at our processes, right? What does it feel like to be in this culture of the organization? And the fourth and final level of system is the external level of system, where what does it look like from the outside looking in? What about potential new applicants to our organization? What about our brand, our reputation, or whether or not we're considered to be a contributor to the community versus someone who's taken away from the community? So those really lead to what we call the theory of change and evolution. I mean, change and intervention by Chris Argyris, where Chris Argyris says there's really three things that change any thing in an organization. You need valid data, informed choices, and commitment and support from leadership like yourself.
Great, Al. And we've been working with leaders who care and are ready for change to change and build their capability as both leaders and guides through that process in the organization. What are some of those key self-reflection questions that you would like to offer our viewers?
Yeah, there's really three deep dive self-reflection questions that I ask any leader to think about. The first one is, what is your typical response to unexpected change? Do you get frozen? Do you get depressed or anxious or just frustrated? Or are you taking a resilient approach? Are you excited about it? Do you see it as an opportunity, something to gain versus something that's always reflected on just taken away? The second self-reflection question is, how can you intentionally uh, disrupt your own organization or disrupt your own department or your own product or service? If you were a competitor to yourself or to your organization, where might be those weak spots or those customer sentiments or ideas or revenue or industry or product changes that you might come in and sort of take advantage of or exploit, right? So it's sort of like Uber versus taxi cabs, right? The whole world that Uber has created and that whole ecosystem, could other taxi cab or ride sharing organizations have created that same sort of set of services? Probably, right? So how can you disrupt yourself? Or do you just stay stuck in the status quo? And that third self reflection question is, what is a big challenge or change or sort of thorn in your side that is sort of keeping you up at night, right? At 11 o'clock, and you're sitting there staring at the ceiling thinking about, wow, how do we solve this? How do we get better? How do we turn this corner? Or how do we make this more profitable or address those challenges that our customers, keep referring to, right? And I'll take you to a famous quote by a famous one of the most famous Roman generals, Marcus Aurelius. And he said, the impediment to action advances action. And he's another way of saying that is what's in the way becomes the way. Again, I didn't say it. Marcus Aurelius, a famous Stoic philosopher, said it. And it sort of relates to a really clear organizational development theory called force field analysis, because you got something standing in the way, like, wow, this is resisting our change. And at the same time, you got things that might be driving the change, right? It could be regulation, new competition, need for more market share. So you ask yourself, if I'm the leader and I got things in my way and I got things driving change, which of these do I address? And if you said, well, maybe I address the things that stand in my way, and then those things driving change will naturally progress. Bingo, you got the right answer.
Thanks, Al. Those are really good, thought-provoking questions, and I hope that our viewers take a few moments to self-reflect on those and find out what their answers are to those. And as our viewers are getting ready for addressing transformation or building their own capacity for change, and maybe even changing their own personal relationship with change, how can they continue their journey?
Yeah, we can write about this, or we can theorize about this, or we can come together and have a live conversation. So we're actually planning an executive roundtable conversation for change leaders like yourself. Um, During that conversation, like I said, we'll have an opportunity to bring your questions, bring your case studies, bring those thorns in your side that are keeping you up at night, so we can sit down and have real conversations about them. And not only learn from us, but from the other people in the conversation. So we'll invite you to click the link below in this LinkedIn article so you can join the conversation. And we hope to see you there.